Facebook, welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the new market we're in. We took a little hiatus due to the stay at home, and now that we're allowed back in our offices, we created this new, hopefully temporary studio to provide a little more space, but wanted to bring you some of the things that have happened over the course of the last something like 8 weeks, I believe, since our last time we did a show. And there's been a lot of ups and downs with the marketplace, both in mortgages and in real estate. And yeah, just wanted to kind of get everybody up to speed. I know on my channel I've been posting the Market Mondays each week, but I wanted to just dive in a little bit deeper. So let's get ready. You guys ready to do this?
Yep.
Here we go. Okay.
Ready, Kirk.
Ready. All right. Let's start the podcast piece. Got to get used to using this little clock again. Don't have the big clock anymore. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwell. Welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tolson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, you can give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Or you can check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools, along with 2 great books. We have our seller book now posted on there under publications. And you can also watch us record live on our Facebook page most Tuesdays around the noon hour. All right, well, we've had a lot that's happened since last time we recorded a show with everything that's been going on out there with COVID-19 coming to the U.S. and into Minnesota with the stay-at-home orders. And so we wanted to kind of go over some of the things that have been put in place and how that may affect buyers and sellers out there, and what is the market really doing out there. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of naysayers that are talking about crashes happening with the real estate market. And, you know, we just want to really dive in to the data that we're seeing. But let's first welcome Chad Preby. Thank you for coming in. Yes, I'm glad to be back in at least some sort of studio doing this again.
Yeah, it feels good. You know, I had to put a hat on because I don't have that personalized barber or stylist to take care of.
Yeah, I have a lopsided haircut. If I kind of probably looked at the camera the right way, you'd be able to tell that.
I got an easy life.
Yeah, you do.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, I would like to welcome back Danny Dietl, broker at Bricks Real Estate.
Baby steps to get back to some normalcy. So this is COVID casual.
COVID casual.
Right.
Do you want to stand up for the camera and
No.
show you what kind of pants you're wearing? No? Okay.
Pants?
What?
All right. So let's talk a bit about kind of the restrictions MAR had put out very early on in this happening. This is Minnesota Association of Realtors. Basically came out as to a safe practices, because real estate was put out by the governor as a essential industry. So although the offices, there was only supposed to be people in there for closings and essential business, we for the most part were shut down, and now we're able to be open again. But the first things that were put out was kind of all right, you know, limit your showing activity. Don't be provoking showings for buyers. Don't just be like, hey, check out this house I found, right? They really wanted to limit that exposure. I mean, people still, you know, if they had a house under contract, need to find a new home. And so they did leave that open. And I know there's a lot of early on fears and concerns from buyers, sellers, and real estate agents. And I think some of the stuff that was put in place made a lot of sense, and some of it didn't necessarily make so much sense. But yeah, one of the things that I thought was great was you know, if you are going to go on a showing, that you have to, you know, call up your client and basically talk them through the property online. And it's amazing. I think I probably cut 50% of my showings because of that. don't
So
know.
you can provide a little more personal service, actually.
Yeah, I've always, and well, Chad, you've been part of the classes. You know the method that I use for looking at homes online, and it was basically I teach all of my buyers that method, but sometimes people forget, and it was kind of interesting to go through that every time with them, and it really showed how well that actually works in eliminating just a lot of fog that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, it actually creates for a better experience for the buyer as well. Because there's nothing more frustrating than looking at 30, 40 houses when none of them are actual prospects.
Right.
Right.
I mean, all I would.
Time and energy, and so this is just like showing how much waste there was in a lot of the activities that agents and
Well, I
buyers
think
and
it's the
sellers.
salesy approach. We did a virtual class or question and answer session, and some agents hopped on there, and they're like, a lot of agents, they just don't talk to their buyers about this stuff, and I think it's important. It is, because it's not about looking at the most homes; it's about looking at the right homes, and
Right. Well, and it's very reactionary. It's just
Mhm.
waiting for a client to reach out and say, "Hey, I want to go see this," and you go, "Okay."
I actually had a past client reach out who has her own marketing company now, and she was saying to me, she's like, Kirk, I remember when you were first, saying, hey, what about the busy road, or what about the railroad tracks, or what about the small lot? And to me, it was like, darn, I just want to see the house. And then I realized how important what you were saying was, that those fundamentals were just making me mad when I'd go look at that house, and just to get those out of the way right away. So, this happening, I think, is going to shed some light on the industry as a whole, as to a practice that should be used all the time. Basically, open houses, public open houses were said, no, don't be doing those. Obviously makes complete sense. I mean, if you're talking about groups of less than 10 people and trying to socially distance, good luck trying to socially distance even 5 people in a house.
Right.
So, and I think we're still of the standpoint of, no need to be doing those right now. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much no unnecessary showings, walking through with clients, the ones that they do want to see online, and previewing properties. That was something else that was encouraged. I know I've done a ton of previews. Just head out, go out and check out 3 houses for three different clients, and they appreciated that so much.
Absolutely.
Kirk, I appreciate you.
Thanks,
So
Danny.
much.
So there is one thing that we've seen out there, which is these virtual open houses, and surprise, surprise, our industry tries to find a way to make something salesy. They could be conducted to provide value, because I do think a personalized walkthrough is valuable, but Danny, you were saying it. What, are people just going to wait around to just have some random?
Honey, it's 1:30. It's time to go to the virtual open house. And that you would expect that people in mass, right? So not just one person.
Right, exactly.
And if it's one person, then you just do a personal private one. And it goes back to agents like to feel valuable. So
Right.
It's like you take one thing away and they want to demonstrate that they're doing something for their sellers. But I'd be surprised if any houses have transacted as a result of a public open house.
Yeah.
Sorry, virtual open house.
Well, yeah. And I think there could be value. I mean, the value I would see is be there and ask, does anybody want to see anything specific, like the mechanicals, the outside, basically the walk around checklist that we do, and ask what people want to see about the house.
Right. But if you
by the way, if you don't know this walk around checklist that I'm talking about, if you go to
where
Bricks,
could you get that?
You can go to brickstwincities.com under publications for free. Our smart home buyer book, it has that walk around checklist. Those are the questions you should be, whether you're there personally, at a showing, or maybe if it is one of these virtual open houses, the questions that you should be asking of the person that's hosting it. But yeah, I mean, just to sit there and just hand walk through a tour.
You just record a video, post it.
Yeah, might as well
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
Wait, is that called a virtual tour? have those been around for like? Yeah, no, I mean that's a way to get real value. I think is to provide more of a personal experience, not just to provide saying I'm doing something for my seller.
Right.
You got to really do something for your seller. You need to give buyers an opportunity to ask questions, share thoughts, whatever it may be. Something that was introduced, we got about a minute before the commercial break, but is this COVID-19 amendment, basically stating
Addendum.
addendum.
Slash amendment. It can be both.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because
That's
it can be
right.
introduced post, which, yeah, I've seen that done. But it's basically providing some language that gives out in case of hospitalization, gives out in case of loss of job. And I think you made a great point, Danny, and we see this in the industry, is that those outs are kind of already there in the contract. They're phrased differently, but you lose your job, guess what? You cannot get a loan. You cannot get a loan. I mean, I could see this maybe in a cash transaction. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, there's mechanisms in the contract that address broad situations in general. So, like, I get the reactionary nature of wanting to provide something specific to this, but I do think it's more like a security blanket than actual serves all that much function.
Right.
yeah, and sometimes you can muddy waters by introducing stuff that isn't necessary in there. I would like to just chat briefly about this when we come back from our commercial break. Again, if you have any questions for us, you can give us a call at 651-303-0019, or if you're watching us on Facebook, you can just type in your questions right there. We'll be right back. Second to see if we have anything yet. Somebody's happy to see us back on air. That's awesome.
Who's that?
Hi, Daniel. All right. Okay. You guys ready?
Ready.
Here we
Yes.
go. Let's get this back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. Today, we are talking about the new market that we're in. Previous segment, we had discussed some of the things that have been implemented as far as showing restrictions and amendments. We left off with the COVID-19 amendment that's supposed to be used, or asked to be used, maybe introduced to us as something to help protect buyers and sellers out there. We left off with the practicality of it. If you look at the contract, and this brings up a point of, a lot of realtors out there know this frustration. And some realtors, if they're listening to this, will be like, what? I've been doing that my whole career. Is putting in specific language within a contract saying that the property has to appraise on a conventional mortgage. Guess what? The language is already in there because you are putting down as part of the contract the percentage of down payment and percentage of cash, and it doesn't say optional anywhere in there. So if it does not appraise, that would breach the contract. There's no need for specific language. So my point being on the COVID-19 piece is if somebody loses their job, they are not going to qualify for their mortgage, and they are out.
So
unless, and we're talking about...
There is a caveat
Yeah.
to that. First, I want to go back to the language on appraisal. So I love the idea that, like, a team of attorneys got together and wrote this 12-page standard contract and left out appraisal language.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. The caveat to the COVID addendum or amendment, I do think there could be some value to a seller because the contract does not provide a seller an extension if they have an issue.
Right.
So for buyers, they have their written statement on finance, their financing contingency, and some provisions there. But from a seller's perspective, if
Well, that extension of 15 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of value there. It's not a total waste, but generally, I'm not seeing it used all that often.
Well, and we left off with muddying the waters. You can introduce that and it can scare some people. And we've seen that. We've had agents that have brought it forth, and there's like questions from either side. And so if you have a contract that protects it, depending on who you're representing, it's just not an automatic.
If you add one sentence to a contract that is generally checking boxes and filling in blanks, one sentence can throw an agent off who doesn't understand it.
Right.
We've seen that.
Oh,
so you
absolutely.
introduce an entire addendum or amendment that can insert some confusion. So in a multiple offer situation for a buyer, it can read a little problematic.
So let's talk about some of the changes in lending that we've seen, Chad, because surprise, surprise, market sees problems, lenders tighten up a little bit.
Yeah, so we're changing daily by the hour, and I'm going to reiterate this. I say this all the time, but it's never too early to start the process. And if you're thinking about buying or refinancing or selling, don't hesitate to reach out to your loan officer right away because of these changes. There's a lot of lenders out there that are tightening up their credit score requirements.
Yeah, so for FHA, we've seen it go from like a 620.
620-ish
Yeah.
to a 660.
Yep.
And
And it's not just you guys.
No.
I've checked to see.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not.
I knew you would. Yeah, and it's tough, as a loan officer, you want to make sure you're servicing all your clients, but unfortunately at this time, there's, due to the COVID situation, they did tighten up the credit criteria. But there's other lenders I hear that are going up to a 700 credit score before they even look at you right now.
Yeah.
But they're looking at risk, they're looking at future, they're looking at foreclosures. The government lending, especially on the VA, rural development, FHA, you definitely want to have a conversation with your loan officer if you have a loan in process or pre-approval in process, because we want to just make sure our pencils are sharp to make sure we're relaying the right information on to you guys.
So let's got a few minutes left to talk about some of the changes that we've seen. So, the market did definitely react in showing activity very quickly and in listing activity very quickly. So if we go back to March 1st through March 7th, I tracked that showings per week per listing, and we were at 28% faster than the same time last year. So the average house was getting 8.48 showings in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, 200 to 400K. And so 28% faster than last year at the same time. And then, this started to happen, and we saw that drop off to 9% faster than last year, 4% faster than last year. Stay at home, I believe, kicks in or something along those lines, goes to minus 23%. We saw showing activity go from 2,385 showings in that price range down to previous year to 1,817, and that continued to fall at its low point the week of 329 through 4/4, minus 36%, down almost half the number of showings took place. 3,004 showings last year, 1,566 this year. That was kind of where it stopped. Now a funny point is at that point in time, 4.75 showings per week per listing in that price range. That's similar to what we would experience in July. So just a little perspective to that. It sounds dismal, not really that bad at the end of the day. Keep in mind our market starts January 1st for the most part. Things take off. We had probably already experienced our peak activity. So this drop off, it was going to happen over time, just not usually that quick. However, we started to see that come back. Down 36, down 25, down 21. 3 weeks ago, we were up again over last year by 1%. And then 2 weeks ago, up by 2% over last year on average showing activity. At that point, total number of showings was down still, but per listing was still up. And the reason being is, okay, maybe you have 10% unemployment and you have 10% of the market removing themselves out of looking at homes. Well, guess what? The same thing happened with sellers. They stopped. So you still had about the same number of listings for buyers, and I think I've been talking about a wave of buyers that I've been expecting. This is what I did not expect. Last week, jumps up to plus 24%. Total on the average showings up to 7.66 per listing over the same time last year. So that's a similar jump week over week. And this is the big positive change. We actually are back up on total number showings in that same price bracket.
What's so interesting about that too is we are seeing a lot of situations where sellers are responding to offers much quicker.
Right.
So property used to get listed on Wednesday or Thursday. They'd wait the weekend, let everybody come through, and if they're getting a good offer, they're dealing with it very often within 24 hours. So you're actually seeing one or two, possibly three really peak showing days removed from a lot of seller situations. So to know that showing activity is that high.
Yeah, even
understanding
shorter period of time.
Yep.
And so probably people out there that go, well, what about sales, or sale prices? Well, that's what we're sitting on our hands for, is to see what happened. I can tell you this much: last week, pending sales was also up. Minneapolis, St. Paul, that median sale price range. Now you can go out and you could go stats digging. There are spots that are still down, but in that primary price bracket of the average home buyer in the Twin Cities, things are moving again fast. The plus 500K, we're not seeing that same rate yet. Keep in mind, it wasn't at that same rate prior either. So,
one thing to note on that too. So for it's something like the last 7 years, we've had about a 3,500 unit a year housing deficiency in the Twin Cities. That didn't resolve itself.
No, not. I mean, I have some charts here that for our Facebook that we have new listings down 28%, right? Inventory of homes down 12%, and then you throw in that high showing activity. Do you think the market is going to crash? Supply and demand. Guess what? When we got the numbers last week, up 8.9% over the same time last year. Median sale price range in the Twin Cities area broke 300K. And just month over month. So we're talking about homes that went under contract during this, right? Month over month, still up 3% over the previous month. So to the naysayers out there, guess what? The market didn't tank. Now, do I expect a full-blown year that we were probably expecting before this? No. I'm going to maybe, we were on path to having an amazing year. But what I do expect is maybe a still rising, just not as fast. And I think ultimately, one, if you're sellers out there and you're comfortable with putting your house on the market, do it right now. Huge shortage. Hop on. For buyers, there's not as much to choose from right now. I'm expecting a wave of listings as soon as the media catches on to this market that's still moving very fast. I'd like to thank you guys again, Danny and Chad, for coming in today. We're going to wrap up, and for those on Facebook, stick around for the after show. Stay safe. Have a great week. We'll be back next week.
And after the after show is the after show.
After show. Okay, so yes, now that we're in the after show, I can explain to everybody what my signals were when I was pointing to everybody. When I do this, it means closer to the mic.
I didn't know if I was talking too loud or too quiet.
No. In this new room, because
just be close to the mic.
Yeah, in this room we have to be a little closer.
This is the new normal.
This is the new normal, is to be 3 inches away from the mic.
Did I ruin the show?
Yeah. See, actually, you have to be closer.
Did I ruin the show?
No, I think we're gonna be fine.
Hey, one thing that came to mind is that you've talked about the backup offer, Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And this is.
I think this is a great time to be a backup offer.
This may sound bad, but there are people out there, unfortunately, losing their jobs or getting laid off. So if you come in with a solid backup offer, your chances are a lot better right now.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
we got one. We had Mariah and Tyler.
Yeah.
It was completely due to this.
Right.
That the house came back on because somebody.
There's just so many variables right now with what's going on that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting the classic. It's the same thing that we're probably going to see, the psychology of a seller, that it's going to be the same thing that we see in the spring market, What do you mean the spring market starts in January, February? We bought our house in May. Actually, you started shopping for your house probably in January, February. You wrote an offer late February and closed in April or May.
Yeah.
So that's when buyers are looking. The buyers are coming back into the market right now, but a lot of people are probably going, oh, it's not, it's terrible out there. Nobody's working. It's not a good time to sell. There's starving for inventory. I mean, when you're down those kind of percentages, and this is not, trying to be salesy. These are the raw stats. Go to a Minneapolis Association of Realtors website. You could see everything that I'm talking about. The market is starving for homes out there right now, especially in that sub 500 market. We're seeing stuff out in Shakopee, Elko, 400K selling like that,
Just like
gone,
that.
right? So for buyers, though, there may be opportunity of a lot of extra inventory late summer. We always see a summer boost in inventory, but I think there's going to be so many sellers that held out,
Right.
and then they're going to hear about this news.
Right.
Well, the market's doing really hot, when they get the news reporter out there in front of a sold sign,
Right.
and that's going to happen in about a month or two.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see an influx in listings there. You guys got any other thoughts?
Well, I think too is, if you were teeter-tottering on that approval, not qualifying for a certain dollar amount due to the rates being higher, because we were in that mid-4 range at one point prior to the.
What was the low for like a normal rate to the high within that like 1 week period? And they go from like almost 3 to almost 5.
Yes.
And like
Within an hour. I mean, literally, I was
Yeah, it was
locking
like
in some refis, and
yeah.
right before I hit the lock button, you get the
60%
alert
jump.
to lock, and it's like, wow.
Unbelievable.
So I actually had told even some family members that, there's some smaller banks, privately owned banks, that they're not really reactive to the market like certain big box banks. The market changes, their rates change like that. So,
Right.
The company I work for at Bell, I mean, we're not that reactive because we service our own loans and sell to Freddie and Fannie.
Yeah, I mean, it was up and down in a couple days,
Oh.
and now we're historically low again.
I mean, it was so stressful for a time where I'd sit in front of my computer and it was literally 0.5% to 0.75% up
So
and down by the
yeah.
hour. So it's hard to guide your client when it's moving that fast.
Right.
My guidance was get your application in. I'll watch the market for you. And when we set a point, like if the rate gets to this right here, you lock it in. Don't even call me.
I was waiting for -1.
-1.
Never got there.
Yeah, I know. Darn it. But there was.
I went, and the day oil went below zero, I'm like, that's it. I'm buying futures. It's going to take 48 hours to upload your money into our system. I'm like,
that.
I was ready. I'm like, is there any way I could get it there now?
Sounds like an
I
E-Trade
could have made
account.
30% in 2 days. Oh,
Is
yeah,
it
I
back
love it.
positive now? It was negative, 37 at the bottom?
Yeah, something like I don't know. I think price per barrel is up. I'd have to look. I'm pretty sure. I thought I heard something about over 20.
If I get a bunch of barrels, can I store it in your backyard?
You guys are going to need barrels for sure with that pontoon.
Just bricks, buckets of oil.
Getting into the futures trading.
You got a swimming pool. Fill that up.
Ooh.
You can hold about 12 grand worth of oil.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
The cleanup after. Well, I do need a new liner, so
There you go.
sounds like a great plan. Don't think the ducks that come to my pool would like that very much.
Ooh.
All right, we're getting way off topic. Besides storing oil, we're really into education. We want people to know what's going on. We're excited to be back doing this again. Follow us on, go to our website. Check out those free publications. They're not there to be salesy things. They're there to help people educate themselves in this process. One of the biggest financial transactions that most people ever make. We don't need to follow what the third-party marketing websites say or what TV says on how to approach this process. There's a smart way to do it. There's an intellectual way to do this to leverage the market to your advantage. So check it out.
Can I just add something to that?
Yeah.
It's one of the most largest financial transactions someone will make. But there were two guys in Canada, $500,000, best out of three, rock, paper, scissors.
Really?
The guy who lost protested it. They went to court
Oh my God.
and got out of it.
Are you serious? Wow.
So, anyways.
Oh, one more thing I do.
Well,
wanna say.
so it wasn't the largest financial transaction.
yeah,
That's your
there-
point.
There you go.
Point.
He tried to one up his home purchase.
That's
Yes.
funny.
Failed.
I do want to say though, if you are in a financial bind or you've been laid off, and you have to miss a payment or whatever, make sure you reach out to your servicer and learn about the actual process with that, because there's stuff going on. There's stuff in the media. There's stuff online that say you can skip payments and it won't hurt your credit. Trust me on this, it will hurt your credit unless you call your servicer and set up some type of payment option.
Yeah, I know.
So-
It's interesting. My servicer actually, like when we went to make the online payment, it popped up as a prompt
Right.
and actually made that an option. Now it did state in there, I believe, because I had my wife read every word
Yeah.
to me. But that was prompted by them, and
Right.
we agreed to it. Now we ended up not doing any missed payments because we were able to still keep working. But
Right.
so, but yeah, you can't. You don't want to just go skip something.
Yeah, there's nobody's. I mean, there's some stimulus money and things like that, but forbearance is not free money,
Not at all.
Nope.
and it could cost you more than you think.
Yep.
Correct. Yep. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right.
That's good.
Well, let's just verify. I don't see. It looks like no other questions. All right. Take care. Have a great week.
Have a good
See ya.
day.
Bye.